What's the best party you've been to since you got to college? I bet if you think about that, there might have been costumes involved. There was almost certainly dim lights involved, right? Like no one's like, you're not wearing a name tag under bright fluorescent lights at a great party. Why is that? Because there's something, you know, that feels kind of liberatory and fun to be de-identified, to be fused with the group. And we think about the fun that is involved in de-individuation. It can make sense of a kind of puzzling observation, which is what people look like when they're doing kind of horrible things, but in a group.
That's right. Maybe you might have seen on TV sometimes when there's a certain news clip of a riot, the commentators will often say, look at the angry crowd, they're furious. But actually, if you look at the crowd, they often don't look at all furious. They're often laughing and having the best time. And I think, you know, and that's the kind of the euphoria and joy of being kind of part of this kind of free group, unconstrained by being an individual.
Yeah. Groups can be powerful. You should go to some parties and you can experience firsthand the power of groups. But we don't just understand the power of groups and parties, we also understand it in the lab, right? And so let's think about one of the most famous examples of group influence that's ever been done in laboratory psychology.
Imagine you have come into a psychology experiment and they show you these sets of lines, and they ask which of the comparison lines is closest to the standard line. First person says it's A, the second person says it's A, the third, and everybody says it's A, and you say, of course, it's A again. Then we look at the next, and you say, okay, which of the comparison lines is this closest to? The first person says, oh, that's line C, and everybody else says it's line C. You go along with the group, and of course, it's line C. Then they show you another set of lines, and they say, okay, which is this closest to? And the first person says, well, actually, I think it's C. And you do a double take. You go, what? The standard line doesn't look like C. And then the second person says C, and then the third person, then the fourth person, and all 6 people ahead of you say C. And the question is, what would you do under those circumstances? Would you say what it really is, which is B? Or would you go along with the group because other people have? And what they found is that a large number of people will go along with the group. And they tend to go along with the group for 2 different kinds of reasons.
So one reason you might go along with the group is you think the group knows something you don't, right? You might have been in a situation where everyone's doing something and you're like, I'm not sure that I understand the assignment. I'm not sure that I'm getting what's happening here. Other people are generally smart. Like there's the wisdom of crowds, like you're crowdsourcing. You're like, there is some information to be had in what other people are doing. And I'm influenced by the fact that this information is there, right? So we have another example of this, which is thinking about, okay, like imagine that you are sitting on a sidewalk and you see a group of people running by you. If you think that they're running from something and you think that that's information about a danger coming, then you might actually go along with that. So let's actually take a look at that video now. Okay, so this is something that really happened. A group of runners went by. An initial group of kind of paranoid people at the restaurant were like, they're running from something. And then imagine you're sitting in a restaurant and you see people running in fear. Like you're like, I don't know what they're running from, but like I'm assuming that they have information that I don't have, so I'm going to go with it.
All the other restaurants down there going by everyone.
And you know, if the zombie apocalypse was really here, that would be the right decision. And we can contrast that with normative influence, which is like you don't actually think people have information that you don't have. You just really feel more comfortable when you're doing what everyone else does. And you know, that's very sometimes derogated, oh, they're sheeple, but we are a social species, and it is a really powerful thing to want to do what other people do just to feel comfortable.
Just to fit in, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.